Okay, welcome to the Born to Be Brave YouTube channel. I'm your host, Colleen Lowe, and I'm so excited to have Nathaniel on today. Okay, so I'm going to give him a quick introduction. He's a husband, father, real estate investor, and a fitness coach, right?
Yep, that nails it.
How do you say your last name too? I want you to say it.
Hovsepian.
Hovsepian?
Yep, there you go.
Oh, I love that, right?
Yeah,
Hovsepian.
yeah.
Where does that derive from?
It's Armenian.
It's Armenian? Oh, I love
Hmm.
it.
Yeah,
Some of my favorite friends,
yeah.
we used to go to an Armenian restaurant somewhere here because there was a real estate agent in my office that was Armenian. She used to
Okay.
take us. It was up in LA. I don't remember where
Oh,
it's at.
yeah, yeah.
There
There you
was,
go. Yep.
it was really good.
Yeah. They're
Well, welcome,
outside of
huh?
a few select cities in the country, there's the Armenian population is I am the Armenian population in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
It's not that dramatic, but it's probably pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, but I live in LA. Well, I live in Orange County,
Right.
but I would say we have a pretty good population here,
Oh
size.
yeah. Glendale, LA, yeah.
Because we would go to LA and I don't even remember what the food was. All I remember was it was delicious.
Yeah. Lots of spices and yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
unique flavors
Hmm.
to my palate, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm happy with just nothing on it hardly. And so yeah. Well, welcome to the show. My
Yeah,
show's
thanks
called
for having me.
Born to Be Brave. And then here it says right here you're a former Marine that served in Iraq. So thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how to answer that, so yeah. Yes, you're welcome.
Oh, you know what I learned a long time ago, about 7 years ago, I guess it wasn't that long ago, is we have to be good receivers of compliments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our son had cancer, and when they showed us the extent of how like his whole body was covered in cancer, and I went home that night and I was talking to God about it, and I'm like, "So what's the lesson here?" You know, because there's always a lesson and stuff. And my that's my
Mm.
opinion. And he says, "Well, you're a really crappy receiver," and I'm like. I don't think I'm a really crappy receiver. And he's like, yeah, you're a really crappy receiver. And I'm like, well, give me an example of how I'm a crappy receiver. And he said, well, you've received over 200 text messages in the last 10 days while your son's been in the hospital, people offering to help you. And you told them you were fine and just to pray for you guys. But you're not fine. Your whole world is falling apart. And you didn't receive any help that I sent you.
Mm.
Like, gosh, I didn't receive any help. So I texted each person because this was like 3 in the morning. No one wanted to hear from me. But the next day I texted everyone, whatever you feel inspired to do for us, please do it. We receive it. We welcome it.
Yeah.
And so just be a good receiver and say thank you because you served our country and you made it possible for me and everyone else to live and enjoy the freedoms we enjoy and make it possible for us to do this Zoom and
Yeah,
enjoy
that's
our
it. Yeah.
beautiful lives. So I appreciate you and your
Yeah.
service.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
hmm Yeah.
There
So
you go.
just
See,
thank
I'm a
you.
good listener. I'm a good learner too. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, right?
Yeah.
And so you were in the Marines and then you've been in real estate since 2016 and you've wholesaled for 6 years and you've been
Hmm.
flipping houses during that time, which that's always fun. We used to flip houses. And you've
Hmm.
owned a handful of rentals and you're currently pivoted to creative buyers nationwide and hold assets as co-living. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
MTRs and STRs, right?
That
So,
we so that is actually an old one sheet now that you're reading that off.
ooh.
We we're not really doing short-term rentals. We're not really doing midterm rentals anymore. We are solely focused on co-living unless something is just cash flows as a long-term rental, which mm, most of the stuff, all of the stuff we're seeing is not cash flowing as long-term rental.
Yeah,
So,
not in this
um,
market.
no, yeah.
Can you, Nathaniel, thanks for clarifying that. Can you share with our audience what is co-living? Because maybe not everyone understands, because real estate has like a foreign language kind of. And
Hmm.
so when I got into real estate, I was like, what are they all talking about? I mean, that was 20 years ago, but what is co-living?
Co-living is, in its most basic sense, somebody renting a room out of a house and multiple people that live in the same house that each rent their own room. And so, you know, when I was in college or yeah, when I was younger, I realized it was popular for students. So a lot of student housing, you don't even need to know each other, but they'll each rent their own room out and they have their own private space. A lot of people may have heard out there pad split. Pad split is essentially like the what Airbnb is to short-term rentals. PadSplit is to co-living. So they are like a marketing arm and they do a couple other things for you. But PadSplit is not co PadSplit can be co-living, but co-living doesn't have to be PadSplit. Like that was like
Right.
an SAT question right there or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. That I might
Yeah.
not pass. But I think that
Yeah.
when I think of pad split, I think of they're like a property manager and marketing company, and they kind of help
Yeah.
facilitate. They're more of a facilitator, and they kind of facilitate if you own a property that you want to turn into a co-living situation and you don't want to handle it yourself or have a property manager handle it yourself. For they will handle it for you. Is that correct? The way I understand it?
Yes and no. PadSplit, you still need to have an actual property manager. Now,
Oh, you
PadSplit will
do?
help you find the property manager. There are like um, property managers that have already are already operating pad splits, and so it is a separate component though. Pad split will is big in far as marketing, especially in the markets that they I forget I think they call them core markets, and then they help you with like tenant screening and payment processing, but you still need like a boots on the ground, so to speak, to walk walk the property and make sure that the property is being well maintained and taken care of.
Okay, so it's a separate
It is.
function.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you clarified that. And then do you use pad split when you do your properties?
We do not right now. We are kind of, you know, the term like be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond. We've actually stayed away from the pad split core markets. We're like, you know, they're doing their thing. The operators are doing their things there. People are having a lot of success with it, but we're choosing to be a little bit more focused, kind of stay in a little bit more the middle to smaller markets that we can just go in and kind of be the sole co-living company there.
That's really smart, right?
Well, it's something.
Well, it's less competition for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it might be easier to find deals, right?
It's I mean, there's a lot of deals to be had in those bigger markets. You know, when I think pad split, I think Atlanta. That's just where my head immediately goes. That's where a lot of the people that I know are doing pad split, and there's plenty of deals to be had in Atlanta, and there's a lot of people that are having success there. We've just chosen to take this path and really focus on just doing it ourselves essentially and because we're choosing not to do pad split, we don't want to go compete with the marketing arm that pad split has.
Yeah, where do you focus? What markets are you mostly focusing on?
We're all over the place. We're nationwide except for California, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, New York creatively. And so when we're looking at creative deals, we are looking for, you know, underserved communities that need affordable housing. Think, you know, just like blue collar workers, fresh out of college workers that don't want or can't afford a, you know, a house of their own. And like I mentioned previously, we also like, you know, universities where there's constant kind of student influx and people that are needing rooms to rent. So we like those couple places. And then we also do cash deals in a handful of cities in Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Dallas Fort Worth area.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How did you get into real estate from being in the Marines?
A long path, a long winding path. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I did a bunch of odd jobs, mechanic, valet, loading freaking UPS trucks. And I had owned this condo in Garden Grove, where I was going to school. I went to Cal State Long Beach to be a mechanical engineer. I
No,
met I did, yeah.
I went
You
to Cal
mentioned
State
Orange
Long
County. Yeah, yeah,
Beach.
yeah. You mentioned Orange County. I figured it'd come up kind of naturally, yeah. I lived in Garden Grove. I had this condo in Garden Grove, and I took what is it, 22 West to get to Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah, that's right by my house. I'm 10
Oh,
minutes from Cal State Long Beach and right
yeah.
off the 22 right here at Seal Beach Boulevard. I live in Seal
Oh,
Beach.
okay. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I drove right by your house all the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you had a
Yeah.
condo in Garden Grove.
Yeah, and I had it for like 4 or 5 years while I was going to school, and when I met Brittany, my wife, girlfriend at the time, I had told her like I'm moving out. I don't want to live in California anymore. I was in the Marine Corps. I've met and seen a lot of people and been across this country. I want to go spread my wings, so to speak. I want to get out of the busyness, the hustle bustle, the people on top of people that is Garden Grove, especially.
Oh, it's
Um,
packed, wall to wall people.
yeah, and so she was on board. We graduated in 2016. Within 2 weeks of graduating, we had chosen a place on a map. We like literally went like this on a map. Okay, Oklahoma City. Drove out to Oklahoma City, found a house to rent because I needed to sell this condo before we could buy a new place. And within 2 weeks, we had moved out. And so
Wow, you're a fast
yeah,
mover.
we just were like, you know what? Let's just do it. What are we gonna do? Sit here and maybe we should analyze the data a little bit more, but whatever. Um, we bought this. Like we wanted to spread our wings, so we were looking for a house that had some property to it, and we found this beautiful place outside of Oklahoma City. It was on 7 acres. It had like a pond and a creek and all the things that you would want when you're just like, I'm ready to spread my wings and have property. And like 2 weeks before we close on this house, Brittany gets a great job about an hour and a half away. And so we go, now what? We're supposed to close on this house in 2 weeks. What do we do? I don't want you to drive 3 hours a day, back and forth from this job. So we decided we said we wanted to maybe buy real estate for an investments. Let's make this one the investment. And so I fixed it up and we rented it out. And that was my like foray into, oh, this condo appreciated and we made money off the condo. We can buy another house and have people pay us and make money off of that on a monthly basis. Let's figure out real estate. And that's where we got started as far as buying an investment property.
I love that. You stumbled
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, something in a way, in a way. My dad was always I was good at Monopoly, and for some reason, my dad thought that that translates into real life, and he's like, "You should be you should go into real estate." And so there was always that like in the back of my head, real estate. So I just knew that at some point there came a point where I had done enough jobs, I had had enough leaders above me that I was like, I don't want to work for somebody else anymore, and real estate was that vehicle that allowed me to be my own boss essentially.
Yeah, it is. It gives us freedom, right, of time
Hmm.
and how we
Yeah,
spend it,
yeah. I
which
love
is
the it's
nice.
there's a I think I've seen it on Paces like Instagram or something, but it says like I work 80 hours a week for myself so I don't have to go work 40 hours a week for somebody else. I'm like,
I know it's so true, right?
yeah.
Like literally John's been up to like 1, 2 in the morning editing videos and getting things ready, right. It's
Yeah.
so true, right?
Yeah.
But you
Like
don't have
my
to put up with someone else's crap.
exactly. Like I am outside on our street. We live kind of out in the country and our neighbors know us because we're one of the only weirdos that go and walk around the area. And so this one neighbor, he sees me, he just happens to be leaving the neighborhood every day at around 4 o'clock, which is when I'm typically outside. And he's like, "Do you work? Do you do anything?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm typically up till like 9 o'clock at night working. This is just my like little window of time where I get outside and I have it time blocked in my day. This is why I do what I do. I get to go outside when it's typically the nicest part of the day, like, the mid to late afternoon, and I get outside with the kids and we have a good time outside. We walk around, we ride the bikes. We have a 4 and a 2-year-old and they're learning how to ride a bike. And so all those fun things. Yeah.
Isn't that nice that you get to have that relationship and spend that time during the day with your kids?
Yeah, it's why I work the 80 hours a week so I can spend the free time that I have doing those things when I want to do it. I put it into my calendar. I've been able to create the day that I want to essentially. Well, I guess would I rather not work 80 hours a week? Yeah, but I'm building something right now and we're really focused on building it out. And we've got a couple different, I've got a couple different things that I'm building out outside of the real estate, you know,
What are you working
investing side of
on?
things. My a partner and I, Zach Bush, who you may be familiar with from Sub 2 as well. We started a community a few months ago for busy dads that need some support, some accountability, just some, implementation of ideas to take control of their health and wellness. It's called Fit Fatherhood. We have a paid school community that offers a little bit more focus, kind of one-on-one guided processing, and then we have a Facebook group that's we're growing this darn thing out. We're just trying to help as many dads take control of their health as possible. We have a mission this year, or we have a goal this year to help 500 dads do such. And so we're on the road to do just that. So
I
that's,
love that
yeah,
because
that's my
dads
big thing
don't
outside
get
working.
into community like women do so easily, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like they really need that. What a niche that is going to be great for all these
Yeah,
dads. And dads are so important in kids' lives, right?
yeah. It came from both of us. Zach is a nutrition coach. He's a CrossFit coach. I've been a collegiate athlete. I was a Marine. So, fitness has been a part of my life my entire life. And then this blending of we're both super passionate fathers and like we put our family before pretty much everything. And it just kind of made this beautiful blend. And it's funny you mentioned that about, the dad community is that's been our biggest feedback so far is that there's not another place out there like this where we can come together and talk about these things, right? We have coaching calls where we are kind of focused on the health and the fitness, the nutrition and the exercise and the mental part that goes into that. But then we also have just uh, we call them coffee hours where we just come and hang out. Hey, what are you guys up to? And like we talk about ChatGPT or somebody's opening a maker space up in the Philadelphia area and just like, oh yeah, that's very cool, just being guys together essentially that are dads.
What a great idea. And
Yeah.
the impact long term, generationally, not
Hmm.
just with your family, but with all these other families. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a really cool like I'm grateful and it's something that I give thanks to him about is that like he's presented this opportunity for us to do this cool thing and I've gotten a lot of value out of it as well just having especially in those coffee hours where we just come in and commune and somebody will bring something up like man I gotta dive into that because that's an amazing little tidbit that I can add to my life and add to my kids' lives like one of the dads last week on our coffee hour mentioned that he always wakes his kid up and says how hey it's a beautiful day, it's an amazing day, and he's just starting them off with this mindset that hey we're up, we're alive, we've got breath in our lungs, it's an amazing day that God has given us. So just instilling those beliefs and that mindset in his children, like, okay, immediately I wake up Saturday and I'm like, it's a beautiful day, guys. Like, not that I was doom and gloom like Eeyore going into it normally, but just
Yes,
like,
but
hey,
you're
what can I add?
more intentional.
Exactly.
I have a saying, two sayings. First thing I do when I wake up in the morning is thank God for my breath of life
Mm,
because not everyone woke up today, so I was glad I was on the list. And then
mm,
I have a saying, miracles are my normal, and everything's always working out for me, and that's
mm,
my life
mm.
philosophy.
Yeah.
And then when we process life like that, it really changes everything, right? Because this isn't our practice life, right? This is our one precious life. And so if we can impact our children by like, hey, this is great. We woke up today, right? And I love that. Yeah, miracles are my normal and everything's always working out for me. I say that right before when I first wake up. So I thank God for breath of life. And then I remind myself of that. And then before I go to bed, because the subconscious mind is so important, I tell myself miracles are my normal and everything's working out for me.
Mm,
I learned that from Wayne Dyer. He's dead now, but he was an awesome teacher. And I just loved him. And he had a sticky note on his bed frame that said that miracles are my normal.
okay.
And I'm
Yeah, I
like,
love that.
I'm adopting that. I just love that. And even when it's not working out for you, it is working out for you because
Yeah.
that's how it works. Like God can't steer a parked car. We have to start taking like imperfect action and things are
Mm,
going to come up and failures are going to happen. And there's going to be roadblocks and opportunities to grow, but as we keep going forward, and I love that you said that God probably gave you this idea about, hey, we need to connect dads together. And when we start listening to those thoughts that come into our head more often and acting on them, and like you're creating a space for these other
Hmm.
dads, and that's such a great connection that you're making that space for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, like you never the saying is like he works in mysterious ways. It's not always mysterious. Like being Zach was one of the first people I met in Sub 2 almost 3 years ago now. And we didn't connect again until I started doing my podcast and I was looking for the first 10 or 20 guests to come on. I'm like, "Oh, Zach, yeah, he's done some stuff. Let's talk to him." And after the conversation, I was talking to Brittany, like, oh, this is somebody that we can do deals with. That was where my head was. Like, oh, we could partner with Zach in some sort of fashion, real estate wise. And then another year goes by and we connected over the fitness. We had just been bonding in this other coaching group, the Growth Co. that we were both in and we were both a part in. And like he put Zach in our lives 3 years prior to anything happening. And us coming up with this fit fatherhood idea. And he was just like molding that relationship and like letting it ebb and flow and come. And I would have never thought 3 years ago that this is where we'd be at and we'd be helping, dads out and I'd be able to learn and grow with all these other amazing people. So yeah, I'm going to beat the dead horse here now.
I think
We're,
it's really
yeah.
good. And you know what's interesting is how important is it to get into community? Like, what made you decide to join Sub 2? Because I pay for high level coaching and
Mhm.
community, not just in Sub 2. I think Sub 2 is the best investment ever. And it's a community, not just coaching and
Yeah.
not just a program. I think PACE has created this community of go-givers. Nothing is like that. I paid for a lot of coaching and
Yeah.
nothing's like that. But why do you think it's important for people to bet on themselves and open their wallet and spend the 5, 10, 20, 30, $40,000, whatever it is, to
Yeah.
join these programs if it's a good program? Why do you think that's important?
It reminds me of the "it takes a village" quote. And when you hear that, it's typically like it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to just be successful really in anything. We can't do this alone. If what's the saying? Like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Hmm.
And you mentioned the Sub 2 community and how it is really a community and as it's grown there's been iterations of the levels of leaders. Like certain leaders have kind of grown. I like to consider myself a leader in the community, but we're modeling the fit fatherhood in a sense around Sub 2 because we want that community and we want these, we call them founding fathers, the first, you know, 50, 25, 50 members of Fit Fatherhood to learn to grow together, and then they are going to become leaders, and maybe we're going to have regional groups just like Sub 2 has. But community is what allows us to be uplifted when we're feeling down. It's what allows us to bring questions to each other and get answers. It allows us to kind of break off into our own little groups. I've been in two other coaching programs from people that I met in Sub 2. And you mentioned the like 20, 30, $40,000. If I can pay somebody for their experience over their time that's going to accelerate my learning and my growth, I'm all about that. I That's a mindset shift that we've had within the last few years since joining Sub 2. Is like, man, it was a big step making this first payment to a community, but then you learn all these things and you see how much the value you get out of it, and you're like, okay, where can I find the next person that has something that I am looking to do that I can pay for their time and you know, their experience. Because if it's going to take me 5 years, or if it took them 5 years and I can learn it in 3 months, I'm going to do that all day. Because imagine where I'll be in 5 years from that.
Yes, I call it life hacking. Like
Yeah.
where it's like, let me life hack this.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months versus 5 years. Let me join your program and learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Sub 2, like direct return on investment,
Mhm.
maybe, I don't know, but like all the return on investment from everything that I've learned and all the people that I met, all my friends basically are from the community at this point. I still have some, my lifelong friends that I've had for 15, 20 years at this point. Oh gosh, now I'm thinking like 30 years. Holy moly, I'm dating myself. Gray. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
really getting old. I could probably be
yeah.
your mom. So,
I
but
don't
I
know about
love that I'm getting old because
that.
it's a
Yeah.
privilege, right?
It is. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like,
But yeah, that's priceless that your friends, right, are from this community. And then we get to make money and build businesses and people talk about different things, right? Because
yeah.
there's a saying that you become like the five people you hang out with the most.
Mhm.
And what a blessing that is because my five closest friends are killing it. So
Yeah,
I can turn
exactly.
out like them. I'm grateful, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like all we we say these like little cliche things, the five people you're closest to. What was the one I said? Like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go
Go together.
together. Like, there's all these like cliche things that sound cliche until you're living them.
Hmm.
And like I think that I can speak for both of us that like we're living them. We've been blessed to be surrounded by this group that has proven that these things are not cliche. They are actually reality, and there's a reason why these these sayings have come to exist in the first place and have lasted as long as they do because they're real, you know?
It's true, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when we bet on ourselves and we like I had one coach that said the transformation happens in the payment.
Mhm.
Once you start, because it was a high level coaching program, of course, like,
Yeah.
and, but really when we do bet on ourselves and it changes, it starts changing everything. If
Yeah.
someone was to get started in investing, like in sub two or let's just say, either creative or cash deals, what's your step-by-step process? What do you think they should do if they want to start buying co-living, let's say? Because
Yeah,
co-living is a really important, I think, because it solves the affordability,
hmm
problem for so many people. It's really house hacking at a high level, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of we don't realize it that there's a lot of single people out there that can't afford a place of their own or, don't want to afford a place of their own. Like, I don't want to spend 75% of my income on housing. I'd rather spend 40 and be able to go live the rest of my life. But to answer your question, it really depends on where they're at currently, like what their goals are. Do they have income that they'd rather just go invest with somebody, or do they have more time? Like, are they looking to create active income, or are they looking to grow long-term wealth? It just really depends on the individual. I would say, the best thing is to connect with somebody who's out there doing what you're trying to do and start to learn from them. Um, you know, it can be a difficult thing for people to do is like, well, Pace, for example, let's just say, how am I supposed to talk to Pace? He's doing this huge thing. He's 15 chapters ahead of me. Pace answers, I don't know if I don't know if this is actually fact, but I'm pretty sure he answers all his DMs. It's Pace
All of
talking to
them,
you.
all of
It's like,
them.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's
Like,
him.
Pace will respond. Yeah. Like, so just reach out. You never know. Like, are most paces, like people on paces level, actually answering their DMs?
Mm.
No, but it takes that one step in reaching out to somebody to find out. Like, maybe you talk to an assistant that's going to be able to help you out. Because trust me, the assistant knows a lot of stuff too. So just put yourself out there. That's probably the biggest thing that people can do when they're getting started is just like take some steps, take some action, figure out what the first step you need to do. And maybe it's just reaching out to somebody and taking action. And you're going to learn steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 along the way. But you don't need to know step 14 in order to take step one and
Yeah,
just take
that
that first
is
step. Yeah.
just take the first step, right?
Yeah.
Literally, I just was like, okay, I'm going all in on YouTube this year. And I'm like, I have a huge list of people I want to interview. And I'm like, okay, I really want to interview Pace. And so I literally DM'd him and said, hey, I'm going to be in Arizona. And I would love to interview you. And please let me know. And what's so cool is he responded, please email somebody on his team and
Yeah.
set it up, right? I'd be honored to do it. Just set it up. And because I told him I'm totally flexible. I don't know your schedule. And just, let me know when a time works. And so literally the next morning at the crack, so I emailed her and gave her all my information. But at the crack of dawn, my phone goes off. And I'm so glad the ringer was on because, and I saw it was an Arizona number. I'm like, I bet it's Pace's people. And it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
And I'm so
Sorority,
glad
yeah.
I pretended I was awake and,
Yeah, yeah.
carried on a halfway intelligible
Yeah.
conversation. And what's so cute, but she's like, but by tonight you have to submit all your questions. And anyway, it's all good. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. But I had back-to-back appointments, so I didn't get those in until like midnight that night.
Oh, wow.
But what is so cute is that it's just the first step. And my heart, when I wrote the DM, my heart was pounding, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And and I think we need to have more of those heart pounding moments and then know that you belong in the room. And
Mm.
after our interview, the interview went so well. Pace said, you can interview any of my friends. Who do you want to interview? And I'll hook you up. And
Yeah.
and I just think that we really underestimate and undervalue ourselves and what we can accomplish. And I think
Mm.
people want to help other people, right? Like Pace's big thing is helping, but I feel like it's not just, I mean, a lot of people in any industry really want to help other people become successful.
Yeah. That's I think probably people take it lightly, but one of the things that they asked as a entry question into sub two when I joined, and I joined when there was like 4,500 or 5,000 people, and now it's 20 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
But
it's really grown. They
like,
were at like 8,500 when I joined.
yeah, it's like, but they asked, are you gonna, and I forget exactly what the question, but like, are you willing to give back once you've learned to the community? Because that's how the community grows. And I said yes. Like, am I going to say no? And they're going to go, no, you can't join then. But I said yes at the time, not even thinking twice about it. But yeah,
Yes,
as you learn and grow, I've had people that poured into me. I got to pour back. Like, my cup is overflowing. What the
right?
heck is the point of keeping my cup overflowing? I got to let it flow into other people. And so, yeah, I loved it. I want to give back. That's what I do. I have a weekly Zoom call, just a free weekly Zoom call. It's called Helping Hands Hour. It's every Thursday at noon, and it's just like come in, ask questions, get unstuck wherever you're stuck at. I want to be as valuable as I can to the community, and it's not just for the sub two community, but I did a training last week in there. I'm like, I'm hijacking my Zoom. This isn't just an open Zoom this week. I'm gonna give as much value as I can for the first 30 minutes and then we'll open it back up. But like, yeah, I just want to give to people. It's
I love that.
it's been so supportive. It's been so helpful for me that like I gotta do it for everybody else. And like you're doing the same thing. Having this podcast, having this YouTube channel where you're providing value to people and people can come and learn and hear, I heard Pace's about or one of the episodes or one of the parts is released already and it's the other part is coming, like come listen to Pace talk and be vulnerable and talk about things that he's never heard of because Colleen has a way of opening people up apparently.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
literally at
Yeah.
the end, because he says we need to do a commercial for it, and he said everyone should listen. This is what he said. I'm going to post it today because I've had back-to-back stuff today since really early. But literally, he says on the like the thing, everyone should watch this. And you should watch it till the end because I've never shared any of this stuff with anyone else.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, and it was such a good talk. And what the interview with Pace taught me, well, one, I do love getting to know people and helping people too, but the interview with Pace really taught me that we're all just people
Mm,
and that we're all on this journey together. And that when we connect heart to heart and we share the real parts of ourselves with other people, it gives them permission to share their
mm,
real parts because I shared some very vulnerable stuff on the video also about things that have happened in our lives because we've had a lot of I call them opportunities to grow now, but
mm,
pain is a very powerful teacher. And I've had a lot of very painful, what other people would consider extremely painful experiences that Most people would not want to trade places with me as far as
Hmm.
life experiences. And, but I'm grateful for all of them at this point. I've not always been grateful. I've been bitter at God sometimes. It's been an up and down thing. But at this point, I'm 57. I'll be 58 coming up here. And at this point, if you took away any of those very extremely painful situations from me, I wouldn't be who I am today. And they're
Hmm.
they've shaped and molded me into a better version of myself than I could have. God handpicked those experiences for me so I could be the person I am today. And I think there's an illusion in our lives that we think that we're going to come to life and life is going to be easy. And I think that's so funny because if you believe in Jesus Christ or God, which I didn't expect to take this little turn here, but if you
Yeah.
believe in that, like if you look at that God and Jesus, like Jesus's life was not easy, right? Like
Hmm.
nobody would want to trade places with that guy,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's funny when we think our lives should be pain free and experience free because all the things humility and long suffering, charity, empathy, understanding, kindness, all of those godlike attributes come from suffering,
Hmm.
you know. That I mean, at a deep level, where
Yeah.
you're non-judgmental and really loving. Like if you truly look at those qualities, a lot of it comes from suffering,
Yeah.
and we all
Yeah.
suffer.
I'm glad that you're in a good space around this. This is something that I think about sometimes is that he hasn't put those things on me because I would turn my back on him at this point. And it's something that I'm not proud of. Um, but it's something that I've realized in myself. Like, I'm not ready for him to test me like that. Like, I've had my trials and
Of
tribulations, of
course.
course, too, but, you know, like I think I don't know if you're familiar with Hurricane Helene came through. This is going back six
Hmm.
months or however, whatever, 5 months ago. And like we were spared for the like neighbors, trees through their houses, trees all over the yard but nothing, very slight damage to our shed. Who cares about the shed really? But,
So you
we were spared.
escaped.
Yeah. And like I just look around, I'm like, whoa, he was watching out for us. But maybe it wasn't necessarily that he was watching out for us like that. He was watching out for us because he knew that if he allowed something to happen to the house, that I would be like, yeah, I'm done with you. I don't know. Just
I don't
see,
know,
look at
but
that.
it is interesting our journey, right? Our faith
Yeah.
journey as we talk about these things and like but God was watching out for the people whose houses got annihilated too, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing I learned because I had a son, with cancer and it's a long story, but my son was doing bad and he was flatlining. And my son was on a mission for a missionary out on a missionary and came back with cancer everywhere.
Mm,
And in that moment, see, this is where you find out what you really believe. In that, so I thought I believed, oh yeah, I'm good with God, right? But when my son's dying right in front of my eyes, I was yelling in my head, right? In my head, I was yelling like, "Why are you trying to take my son? He was
yeah.
on a mission for you, and like, why are you taking him?"
Yeah.
And the thought came to me, he's not your son. He's on loan to you,
Hmm.
and he's my son, and you're telling me what to do, and you're not being respectful.
Hmm.
And I was like,
Uh,
oh, yeah, that's interesting, right? But I
yeah.
think that God loves us no matter where we are. He just doesn't want to leave us there.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
wants us to
Yeah.
increase and become better. He
Yeah.
loves us where we are, right?
Yeah.
100%. His hand's always there, stretched out to us, but he's definitely wants to take us and make us better if we allow him. He'll never force us to become better.
No,
But
and I pray about it and I ask him to keep revealing himself to me and keep providing opportunities. And every time I have a conversation like this, I'm like, oh, he's there. He's working.
yeah,
He's
he's
doing it.
there. He's aware
Yeah,
because I don't normally bring this up. And I felt like that's the
yeah,
next direction we should go in. And
yeah.
what's interesting is he's always there, right?
Hmm.
And he's always aware of us. And I think it's good to be candid. Like it's okay to say, like, I don't think I could handle that. But I do think we can handle way more than we think we can. It's
Yeah,
just that um it's a way of saying, oh, I'm just grateful that my house is intact and my family's intact and safe um because I think that, but I do think when you squeeze an orange, what comes out of when you squeeze an orange?
Orange juice?
Orange juice, right?
Yeah, okay.
And so, like, you can't squeeze an orange and have lemonade come out or
Mm,
grape juice, or
yeah,
right? It has to be orange juice, right?
yeah,
And so, when we get squeezed, which is opportunities to grow, we get to find out what we're made of.
mm,
It gives
yeah, I
us an
love it.
opportunity to really think about what do we really believe? What are, what's my relationship God really look like? And who am I really made of? And do I really believe all this stuff I thought I believed? And I don't know. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, and it's like it's whether you believe or not, it does
Hmm.
come down to here, and like you can change a lot of these things, and you. I don't want to. It's a little blasphemous, but you could take God out of the equation
Hmm.
and still have a positive mindset and still be able to look at these things as growing opportunities and learning opportunities. You ask that question about where, people getting started. Where do they get started? Well, you get started with that first step. And you know what comes with that first step? You're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to fail. And if you haven't worked on this and you don't have that positive mindset, knowing that, hey, I gotta go fail, I gotta go struggle, and this is what is going to learn and help me. This is going to teach me, and this is where I'm going to learn, and it's going to help me grow. You're going to stumble and you're going to fall, and you're going to go, real estate's a scam or whatever. Like, it's a sham. There's no way that, yeah, Pace isn't actually doing that. He's baloney. He's just a good marketer. Yeah, it's a scam, right? Don't clip
Yeah.
that part because that was very damning.
No, no.
I'm just kidding.
I
Yeah.
used to think Pace was a scammer. I did a video
Mm,
with Pace, and when I first met him, I thought he was a really nice scammer. And
mm.
he shares on there. It used to really hurt his feelings, but it doesn't bug him anymore
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know what? We make excuse. We can have reasons or results, right? And so, and I think when you first get started in real estate or any entrepreneurial endeavor, anything worthwhile, right? It's there's going to be. I just saw this thing. You would love this. I'll send it to you afterwards. Dr.
Okay.
Becky, I think her name's Dr. Becky Feelgood. She did a TED Talk, and she's a parent. She helps parent coaching, and she's a psychologist, I think. Anyway, I don't know her bio, but she parents a lot different than I parented my kids, and my daughter wants us to parent the way she parents. And so I'm learning all this stuff. I took her whole course, and she's fantastic. It's probably the best TED Talk I've ever heard, like
Okay.
phenomenal. So anyway, but she's a guest teacher. She's in North Carolina, I think, because isn't Duke in North Carolina and you're in South Carolina?
Yeah.
She's
Yep.
a guest lecturer at North Carolina a lot. I mean,
Okay.
at Duke. And this guy has her. He has a huge following on social media, and he videotaped her in class last week or something. Anyway, she showed, and I don't know when the class was, but it was on her social media last week. That here's what you know, and here's what you want to learn that you don't know. And she called the gap, um, the learning, the learning learning time. That's not what she called it. The learning. Can you look it up, babe? I posted it on my social media. Anyway, it's the learning gap, the learning time. Anyway, but during that time, the learning phase,
Okay.
anyway, it goes like this up and down. My husband's going to look it up. And so literally you're going to, if that's what being resilient is when you're going up and down, and you experience a lot of frustration, the gap between
Mm.
here, it's called the learning gap, right? And
Okay.
so between what you know and what you want to learn, what you don't know, learning something new is that learning gap. And so it's all these ups and downs and failure, and like it doesn't work out, and this didn't work out, and unrealized expectations. And she said you have to get comfortable being frustrated if you want to master anything.
Mm.
And when you get comfortable being frustrated, then eventually you get to the other side where you know it now.
Yeah.
And yeah, because if we're not comfortable, and most of us aren't because we went to public school, not to knock public school, but like we all went to school and they taught us to memorize things and get in line and be quiet and, regurgitate
Yeah.
things that don't matter. And so literally when we get comfortable and realize and adjust our expectations to, oh, there's going to be some problems. I might lose some money along the way. I might have some bad partnerships. The first deal might not be the greatest. I have to learn to underwrite. I need to
Mm.
figure out who I am and like what's my skill set. Who do I need to team up with, and what, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It,
I still get uncomfortable. I mean, like we've done a lot of deals, but I'm still at the place where it's like, are we missing something here with this thing? Like the numbers look good. We're signing one right. We're signing paperwork on one as soon as I get off of this one. It's like, like what am I missing? I still have that like I don't want to call it imposter syndrome, but a little bit of the imposter
yes.
syndrome. Like, what am I missing on this thing? Um, we're yeah. So it doesn't. I don't know if it goes away at some point, but hundreds
I
of
don't
deals
know.
later, we're still still like, what am I missing here?
Yes. And as we grow, the imposter syndrome starts to shrink, right? Because then we think, oh, I belong here. And
Mm,
oh, yeah, I'm getting better at this. But and the second guessing can kind of go away a little bit, right? I like the I was at community camp 2 years ago with
uh-huh.
Jerry Norton spoke, and it's one of the things he said really impacted me. He said that your income and your wealth will go up in relationship to how much risk tolerance you can handle. And as
Mm,
you improve your risk tolerance by like incrementally small, 1%, 2%, 3%, don't go crazy. But as you increase your risk tolerance aversion, then your income and your wealth will, they go up together, right?
yeah, yeah. It was like uh, I we got off a team meeting right before this, and our operations manager ask a question like, do we think we can handle this? I'm like, I don't know. We got to find out though, because our goals are saying that we need to go twice what we're doing or twice what that is. And so if we can't handle that, we got to break the system and find out what things we need to build back better and stronger. Like that's how business is. Yeah, we want it to be
Yes.
trending that direction. Or wait, this direction? I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't go that way smoothly and it goes up and down and you've in order to reach the next level, you've got to break something and go, okay, these things need to be fixed now for us to be able to come back up. And so that's where we're at right now. Like let's break something and then let's find out if the system or well, I mean, well, I guess we're going to keep our fingers crossed that we don't break something and have to fix it. But if we do, like, hey, we're going to go back and we're going to fix it because in order to get to where we want to go, we're probably where we're at currently. The systems and the processes we have are not correct. We just haven't figured that out yet. We don't know what we don't know. Ah, another cliche.
But it's so true. And what's interesting is you cannot accomplish your big goals if you don't let go of the old version of yourself, your old
Right.
processes and systems, because they're only going to work for like where you are, right? Like
Yep.
I've been a real estate agent for a long time, and one month I made $100,000 in commission in one month, which is I mean, I'm sure for most people it's a lot of money, but for me
Oh
that
yeah.
was like life altering. It just so happened that all these deals closed at one, in a 30-day period, that I'd been
Yeah.
working on for a long time. But in a 30-day period, it's never happened again since yet,
Yeah, that's right.
right? But I'm just saying it really what happened though is when those deals all close, because there's real estate agents that close that kind of money every month, right? And I mean, there's a lot of people, investors that make way more than that every day. But what happened was, when I first started selling real estate, I just wanted to make 10 grand a month. Okay. That was like my life
Mm,
goal. And I was going to be so happy with that, right? And then as I got better and better at it, and then that one month that was kind of, I mean, I'd put a lot of work into it, but it was a fluke that some closed late
everything
and
just
some
closed.
closed early. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so then,
Yeah.
then I had this bigger than average month, and I kept up. I don't have it anymore. I should put that back up. But I made a copy of that of how much all those checks,
Yeah.
and it just made me expand my idea of what was possible for me, right?
Yeah.
And because I was a teacher before I got into real
Yeah.
estate, and so I made like 50,000 a year, right? For
Yeah.
the whole year, working my butt off, right?
Yeah.
My whole heart and soul into that. And
Yeah.
so to make that much in a month, right, was like, I don't know, it just blew my
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
Hey, see, look at I was the
Yeah, like,
meme for it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that if we have big goals and dreams and impact that we want to make, that we are going to have to let go of older versions of ourselves. right?
Hmm.
Because when I got my teaching credential, like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make $50,000 a year. Like I was thrilled, right? Like I thought that was the best thing ever too, right? And
Yeah.
not that it's all about money, right? But I actually realized I didn't make any money teaching because I spent it all on my kids. But anyway,
Oh,
my students.
the plight
But
of a good teacher.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
another, yeah,
Yeah.
good thing John had a real job. And
Yeah. A real job. Oh my
yeah, John had a real job, so we could live on
God.
that. Because I spent all my money on my kids because I worked
Yeah.
in the inner city, and so
Okay.
it was. I live where people are pretty affluent, I would say, and about 30 minutes from my house is a lot
Less
of
than. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people that live in a different lifestyle. So I would spend
Mm.
all my money on them. But I think that we have to just, yeah, the new deal that's going to close, they're growing pains, right? And it will all work out, and then you'll work through them, and then
Yep.
I think it was Pace or somebody said, bigger problems, bigger paychecks,
Hmm.
more
Bigger solutions.
impact.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and more
Yeah.
impact that you have, right? Because
Yeah.
um, the more we create affordable housing for people, we're part of the solution. And so many people are struggling or living in their cars or in motels. And right here in California, affordability is out of control. Like a room rents for like 1,500, between
Yeah.
1,000 and 1,500 just to rent a room from someone here.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
I don't even know if our rent in our first one bedroom apartment was that much, when we
Yeah.
first got married. And so it's pretty mind blowing how unaffordable it's become. So I'm excited for you. Is there anything I
Well, thank
haven't
you.
asked you that you would love to share that I haven't asked you yet?
No, I don't think so. No.
No? Okay. And then I
No.
have another question for you. I love to ask
Okay.
people, my name of my show is called Born to Be Brave. Would you mind sharing a time that you've been brave in your life, that you're glad you were brave?
Yeah. I mean, I like just being in Iraq kind of pops into my head. I don't know if I would necessarily say that I was particularly brave though. Um, we had our moments there. I was a tank mechanic and I had to ride. So when you get into a deployment, one tank mechanic has to go out with every two tanks. And so I was one of, yeah, I got a pop up here. I was one of the tank mechanics that would go out with these tanks. And we hit a handful of explosions. And one instance comes to mind where it's like, I got to get out of this tank right now. We just ran over a bomb. The tank is in shambles, and I got to figure out how to get this tank back to base. I'm the mechanic. I gotta get out and figure it out. I probably, if you asked me if I was being brave then, probably would have said no. I was just doing my job. I guess I'd kind of still lean on that, but let's use that example.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I think that I think that a lot of people would look at this and see what we're doing and say that's brave, right? Like going and talking in front of a camera for an hour and this is going to live on the internet for a long period of time. Like that's brave. Doing that first time that you pick up your phone. I got my phone right here. Like pick up your phone and talk into it and go, I'm trying to provide value to you, whatever the form may be. That's freaking brave, right? Going out and underwriting your first deal or talking to your first seller or agent. That's a moment of being brave. Like, your mom, my wife, going and having a kid. That's pretty freaking brave. So, like, it's all about perspective, right? Like,
Mhm.
you can have a lot of moments that especially as somebody else, as another onlooker who's not doing what we're doing, would see as really brave. Social media is a very big one for people. Like, I can't do that. I can't talk in front of the camera. You have to be really brave to do that. So
That's so
long-winded, but
true.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining
thanks
us
for
today.
having me.
How can people get a hold of you, Nathaniel?
The best is actually right here, nathanielhovsepian.com. Is that right? Did I touch the,
Yeah.
because it's
Hmm.
flipped for me. I have my different socials on there. I don't have LinkedIn currently yet. I need to make a note of that after this is done. But really, the best ones for me are Instagram and Facebook. My YouTube channel's up there because I do have a channel as well. So
What's your show
go join
called?
that. My podcast is called Networking with Nathaniel. It's a kind of similar to what we just did, like open, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? And we just talk. And sometimes we talk. I've avoided politics for the most part on the
Good
show.
idea.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
that's
sometimes we end up talking
volatile.
about God. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to ostracize anybody, and talking about God and talking about religion will ostracize some people. But
Mhm.
sorry, I don't want to say,
I feel
but yeah,
like it. I feel like for me, I'm being authentic to who I am. Like I
yeah.
asked that this is Jesus behind me, and my friend told
Mhm.
me he's a
Oh
big
yeah,
you. I have a friend that's a big YouTuber, and he was with me when I bought this, and he put it back here to do some of his stuff, and I took it down. He said, "Colleen, I
Mm,
think you should leave it up." So my publisher came over, and I interviewed her, and I asked her, and she's also my personal coach. I said, "What do you think about having Jesus behind me for my YouTube channel?" She goes, "Colleen, you and God are like this." She goes,
yeah,
"You're going to repel people who don't want to hear about it, and then you're going to attract people who do." And so I put Jesus up. And but I also just love everyone, right? Whether
yeah,
you're whatever, if you're atheist or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever your faith is or isn't, I just love you. And
yeah,
because that's what actually God is asking me to do, right? To love him and love others, right?
yeah.
And so
That's
hopefully everyone feels my love for them, no matter what their religious affiliation or faith is, if that makes sense. But yeah,
yeah,
so people can join your networking thing. They can go to your website. And I just really appreciate you just hopping on the call because I didn't know you before. I just really liked
yeah.
what you were posting on your social media. And so I'm like, oh, I want him to be on my show. So I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you as well. I hope that you continue to do great things and continue to grow your channel so you can keep providing as much value and insights and things to people. And he's going to keep reaching his hand out for all the people that are willing to reach out as well. So
Yes,
thank you very
it's
much.
true.
Yeah,
We're shining light, right? We're
yeah,
shining light.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you, my friend. John's going to
Thank
stop
you.
the recording. But yeah, you guys follow Nathaniel. Go support him.